There we go, the second ding. Um, this is just going to be a quick little video. It's called it's called Cosplay Creeps. I was just watching a video comic book syndicate put out about women's experience with sexual harassment at comic book conventions. Um, Sexual harassment in any context. Doesn't matter what the context is, doesn't matter if it's at work, doesn't matter if it's on your spare time, doesn't matter if it's at a convention, doesn't matter if it's walking down the street, doesn't matter. It's always wrong. It's always, always, always bad. Um, it got a bit frustrating though, watching, because especially in that environment, you're battling so much because one woman said that I'm just dressing up as the characters that you read. You're also dressing up as the characters that these men have created, and there's so much sexual fantasy in the way women, especially females, are depicted in comics and have been, with the unbelievable size of every woman's tits in comics. It's even when we play Legendary. We love Legendary, love it. We always try to have a team with males and females, not because any reason other than there's some they have a lot of great female characters included with the game that have amazing cards, and they just make the game more interesting having a mix. It's nice to have a team and feel, and everybody has a pick on who they want to play. All the drawings on there, all the women have enormous breasts and are really, really skinny, and everything is skin tight, and there's cleavage all over the place. And so you're dressing up as characters that are these male fantasies. There's sexuality throughout comics. There's sexuality, like, just, pardon the phrase, but oozing off of every page. And most of the time I can let it go, and then sometimes it doesn't happen as blatantly. Other times there have been instances where it hasn't happened at all, sure. But there's still something about the creation of these female characters, the posing, the dress, that they're sexual in nature to begin with. So it's not an excuse for anybody's behavior. So if I see one person write that in the subscription box with any sort of seriousness, you know, I don't know. It's just, I want to make sure that it doesn't degrade into this kind of argument. I'm well aware that men have all sorts of bullshit excuses when it comes to inappropriate behavior. I am not saying that this is an excuse for that type of behavior. I'm just felt the need to talk on that point of the fact that you're going to these conventions dressed as 90% of the guys there, sexual fantasy, who now is in the flesh, walking around with the costume. When I was a kid and discovered my dad's Penthouse magazines, discovered the Wicked Wanda cartoon, and then there was another one after that. Can't remember what the heck it was called, though. Anyway, and then with the discovery of underground comics, where sex is a big thing in it too, there's a certain type of style and arousal that's depicted in those things. And even guys like Bill Ward, I think, right, who created Archie, he at one point did pin-up style drawings and comic strips. A lot of these artists have come from that sort of background. Even Bruce Timm, I see his drawings every once in a while on Tumblr, and there's been some really, really racy ones of half-naked and naked women in various poses in his style. It's all around us. Sexuality is everywhere, in movies, in music, in comics, in books, it's there. It's part of our animal instincts. Am I saying that you now not go to a convention dressed as a character? Absolutely not. Dress exactly how you want. Absolutely, 100%. Just understand, I guess it's maybe more of an understanding of where it's coming from, as far as understanding that you are dressing as someone's masturbatory fantasy. Yeah, it just it was just the tone of it. I mean, like I said, the underlying message, 100% agree with. Nobody should have to go to a convention and have guys trying to grab their ass or give them kisses. It's absolutely and utterly ridiculous that somebody would think that that is acceptable behavior. It's ridiculous to me, and it's always ridiculous. And it actually came up, I think maybe why it's so fresh and why this had such an impact. It came up on Daily Show as well too. In the Senate, somebody had been accusing various members of saying inappropriate things, and then it was this whole backlash on that. And then they showed some clips on TV about. I think it was on Fox News. Some of the women just on Fox News have just grown to accept it. I'm not saying that that's a thing either. It's just it was fresh in my mind as far as then Jessica Williams, I think her name is, just had a great little bit where it wasn't even really comical. It was like, when I'm walking down the fucking street, I got shit to do. It's not a catwalk. It's not a runway. I don't need your approval for how I'm dressed that particular day. And I totally understand how it would just get, I don't totally understand. I can imagine how mind-blowingly frustrating that must be, to just have this constant barrage of unwanted attention and unwanted just bullshit. But just understand the situations that you're going into. You're going to be with a bunch of comic book nerds. You're going to be with these guys who don't. The stereotype is sometimes true. Not saying that it's true across the board. These guys that don't get out much and maybe haven't had a girlfriend or maybe don't know how to interact with women. Yeah, male fantasies. That's what it's all about. It's unfortunate, and I mean it's nice that it's changing. There's a lot more female creators and artists out there now. Tone is different in some books. Female characters are getting written stronger and stronger. But even when they are written strong, there's still that underlying edge of sexuality that always is in there, and I think is just going to be a part of. No, maybe not always going to be a part. I'm sure that given enough time and enough distance from things, some of those things will just lessen. But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how we look at some of these books now down the road, as far as what kind of portrayal of men and women. And I mean, obviously there's the female side of it. There's a strong male side of this misrepresentation too. And again, going back to, just any of the comics or that game, the legendary game, I mean, you see these, there is more, I'll give it one thing, that there is definitely stereotypes with the male ones, but now thinking about it, it seems in my mind right now that there's more variety of male body types and characters. Not much more, but not everybody is identical in size and musculature and stuff like that. And for the most part, women are always about the same. Their dress is always the same, or pretty fucking close to similar, as everybody else's. So who knows? Maybe given time, that sort of thing won't be attached to it. But I really feel like this sexuality is just kind of there, and it's just attached to the genre. Unfortunately, right now, it's mostly characters who have been created by men, both in the writing aspect and the drawing aspect, and men draw women a certain way depending on the man and what he's attracted to, and one of the predominant things across the board is a certain style, I guess, that most men find attractive. So just realize you're dressing up as some man's fantasy at some point. Again, not excusing the behavior, just occurred to me as I was watching the video. If I can find it, I'll try to add the link down below. Thanks. I just wanted to rail on this for a minute because it just was popped into my head as I was watching this. So stop broadcast.